Go ahead and call the meeting of the Design Adjustment Committee to order. Before we get started, I have to read an introduction. The Design Adjustment Committee's purpose is to establish clear and measurable review criteria for the consideration of major deviations from the city's technical standards and specifications manual, building design and material standards, and subdivision standards. The committee does not consider housing type, cost of the proposed unit, occupants, building material, unit size, number of bedrooms, or the architectural design of the structures. These hearings are quasi-judicial, evidentiary hearings. That means they're like a court hearing, and the committee's decisions are constrained by the standards in the ordinance and based upon the facts presented. All variance requests require a 4/5 vote of the committee to grant the variance. Appeals of the Design Adjustment Committee are to Superior Court. The parties in these cases are entitled to an impartial board if a board member has a fixed opinion on the matter, a financial interest in the outcome, a close relationship with the affected person, or has had any ex parte communication about the matter. Please disclose this information to determine if a recusal is necessary. City staff will introduce the proposed project to the Design Adjustment Committee, and committee members may ask questions. The applicant may present additional information about the project, and members may ask questions. If anyone wishes to provide evidence at today's hearing, witnesses must sign in on the clipboard at the back of the room and be sworn in. Because witnesses are to provide sworn testimony, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. When a witness comes forward to give testimony, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and speak clearly. At this time, staff will administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony.
If I could have all staff, applicants, and member of the public who wish to speak today to please stand up and raise your right hand. You must be sworn in if you intend to speak this afternoon. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, any discussion? Or is there a motion?
I reviewed the minutes, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, and I notified that looks like the phrase Board of Adjustment was used in it a couple of times, and I've notified for those corrections to be made. But other than that, I would make a motion to approve them as revised.
The revision being to correct Board of Adjustment to DAC.
Correct.
Okay. I will second that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of the minutes with the corrections noted, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Minutes are approved. The first and only item on today's agenda is 4851 University Drive.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. This is an evidentiary hearing located at 4851 University Drive. The site is located along University Drive and is approximately 16.75 acres in size. The site is zoned MD17, high-density multiple dwelling residential district. The proposed new construction consists of a 320-unit multi-dwelling development. The applicant is requesting to exceed the maximum length for a private driveway. The technical standards and specifications manual stipulates that the maximum length of a private driveway be no more than 500 feet. The measurements in front of you are being taken from the nearest existing through streets, which are College Road and South Kerr Avenue. The measurements to the furthest area of the site is 1,100 feet from College Road and 2,445 feet from South Kerr Avenue. Staff understands that University Drive will be extended as a through street as a later phase of this project. The exhibit before you indicates the private driveway distances upon completion of University Drive. The applicant has provided justification for the request in attachment 3 of your package. The applicant is also requesting to reduce the width and eliminate a portion of the non-municipal easement along the University Drive right-of-way, and reduce the width of a non-municipal easement along the Crete Drive right-of-way. The technical standards and specification manual specifies a non-municipal utility easement of 10 feet in width shall be provided on both sides of all public streets and alleys for installation of electric, gas, telephone, and cable TV lines. The applicant is proposing to eliminate a portion of the non-municipal easement along the University Drive and is proposing a 7.5-foot width along the remainder of the non-municipal easement along University Drive, which is shown in the current exhibit. A non-municipal easement width of 8.5 feet and 4.5 feet is proposed along the Crete Drive right-of-way, which is indicated in the exhibit before you. The applicant has provided justification for the request in attachment 3 of your package. This concludes staff's presentation. I'd like my case summary to be entered into the record. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is here as well.
Hey, Zach, just a question about the municipal easement diagram along University Drive. When I was reading through the report, it says to reduce to 7.5 feet for the remainder of, or is it just that portion shown is going to be reduced to 7.5 feet?
The orange portion is going to be reduced to 7.5 feet. That red portion at the beginning of the exhibit is proposed zero, no MU.
Yeah, I see a note on the top of the screen that says a 10-foot easement around the roundabout, it looks like, kind of, but it looks like it narrows down just for a portion of that. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that.
Just that portion that he's got his cursor at, that's reduced down to 7.5.
That's
Okay.
correct.
And the other side of the right-of-way is not a part of this, so any required non-municipal easement would be dedicated on that side.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is
We
it.
can clarify this with the applicant too, if they.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions?
Just a, well,
No.
just a, so the other side of the street is a different property?
I believe so.
Okay,
I think it's going to be part of the future development, though.
okay. All right, thank you.
Question. Was there a cross-section provided? That's for like on-street parking, lane widths?
I believe it's in the applicant's, in the package you received.
Okay.
I believe in one of the exhibits provides that information.
Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. If the applicant is here, would you speak?
Good afternoon. My name's Mike Brown, 1922 Brookhaven Road, Wilmington, North Carolina. As already outlined, it's a 16.74 acre site, which is actually redevelopment of a pre-existing site. It was the Glen Apartments from 1970 to 2018. Then during Florence, it sustained some water intrusion. And so they demolished the structures on the site, but all the other infrastructure is still in place. So kind of talking about what is driving our design, we have existing infrastructure in place, CFPUA, easements, water, sewer, power, Duke Energy, AT&T, and other non-municipal utilities. We're also working within the city code with respect to trees and tree preservation, stormwater, et cetera. And so a lot of that was driving, given that it's an existing site, we have to work within the parameters we're given and the existing utilities and trees that we need to work around. We are extending University Drive, which is a public right-of-way, to the south site boundary, into the site, around the roundabout, and stubbing it at the property line. Hopefully it'll be extended in the future. That is a public right-of-way. Staff has already discussed that from the through street, which presently is College Road, it's 1,100 feet, but from the right-of-way, it would be 600 feet to that corner, just to give you a sense for the distance of what would actually be private before you hit a public right-of-way. And then coming from Crete, it would be 770 feet to get to the Crete public right-of-way. We're surrounded on the on all sides by existing uses. So we did avail ourselves of every opportunity available to us for interconnectivity. The intent of the rule is to provide for emergency access and interconnectivity, so we availed ourselves of 3 access points. Further, the site is laid out, like I just mentioned, within the existing trees, and we're trying to preserve those trees as best we can, and certainly within the code. And in doing so, we provided a lot of interconnectivity, a lot of circulation within the parking lot. I included an auto turn for a 50-foot city fire truck, so there's multiple ways to get around the site if one access way within the site was blocked. So we included that auto turn, and also included an exhibit that includes the fire hydrants. And it's understanding from City Fire at our initial TRC meeting that we were meeting the intent from a life safety standpoint. Any other points I want to put on the record here? I'll point out this is a by right project we're trying to design under the by right zoning. We're not requesting a rezoning. We have met the city parking standards. That was another driver. And we were meeting the city stormwater requirements. Obviously, as a 1970s pre-existing site, it did not have city stormwater. The new site and new redevelopment of this existing site obviously had to provide for city stormwater. On the, with respect to the reductions in the 10-foot non-municipal utility easement requirement, as I mentioned, as a pre-existing site, there are already utilities into the site with easements. I believe that as-built drawing, we had a Alta survey. I believe that was in our plan package when we went to TRC, but I have copies here if that became necessary. So in many ways, the utilities are already into the site, and they're coming from different locations than coming down University Drive. So I don't believe we'd need any new utility easements. But what was driving that was at University Drive, and on the right side of this slide, as University Drive enters the site, we only have 60 feet of width, and we need a 60-foot right-of-way. So we literally don't have the ability to put in a 10-foot municipal easement. The only alternative would be to shift it, and if you shifted it, you would end up in that oak tree that you see there. And under the city ordinance, we need to preserve that oak tree and not intrude unneedingly into its root system. I wanted to correct one matter just for the record. The left side of University Drive coming in is within the parcel, and the reason we're not doing we're asking not to do a 10-foot utility easement there is, again, the tree preservation. I mean, quite frankly, we wouldn't have any objection to put a 10-foot utility easement, but we'd be putting a utility easement through tree root zone. So we just didn't think that was prudent and in keeping with the objectives of the code. And then on the back side, along Crete is a 60-foot right-of-way. It's a 24-foot pavement section. We will be putting a sidewalk there. The utilities coming into our site do not come down the length of Crete. They come from Carr Avenue. And the utilities that provide service to the existing homes on Crete are already in place and presumably in easements. I know we can see them on the aerials and driving around. So I do believe that there's no need to put a full 10-foot non-municipal utility easement along Crete. We did provide as much easement as we could, and where we asked for reductions, it was, again, paying attention to those trees. So we have some tree save along that north side along Crete, and we're trying not to encourage non-municipal utilities to go through the tree save. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Did anybody have any questions for the applicant? And were you going to say something? I sorry,
No,
didn't.
I'm Trevor with Becker Morgan Group. I'm the civil engineer on here, so happy to answer any questions you guys might have as well.
I mean, the only question that I've got is when I read through the request, it didn't appear that there was a request to eliminate the non-municipal easement on what is, I guess, the left or the planned left or south side of University Drive. I mean, I saw the exhibits that showed the requested reductions on the sort of plan right side, and then, of course, along Crete. Those, to me, were pretty clear, but I didn't see a request on the sort of plan left side. So I did want to get that clarified, whether or not that was included in the request, because it didn't look like it was to me.
It was supposed to be a part of the request there. Again, as Mike said, we're not opposed to it. It's the trees there. There's specimen trees there. We really don't want to have to remove them. So we took it away from that side, but we can definitely discuss that.
Okay.
In other words, if y'all would like us to, I mean, we can put the easement in place, but I think it's encouraging, if ever there was a need to bring more utilities into the site, it's encouraging them to go where I don't believe the city wants them to go, nor in keeping with the code and the interest of preserving trees, it would be in conflict with that provision in the ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just becomes, do we want them in the right-of-way, or do we want them not in the right-of-way? So,
Along
We'd
with,
want them on the other side of the right-of-way where we did provide
sure.
the
sure.
easement.
along with, on the same line of thought, is that area on the left side of, south side, whatever you want to call it, is that part of will something be developed there, or is it planned to be
There's
developed
a
there?
storm pond a little further into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's more than 10 feet.
Yeah, there's a stormwater facility that's going to go over on that side.
okay, so it won't have structures and it won't need to have utilities over there?
There could be stormwater structures that are along that road there, for sure. Definitely an outfall for that pond as well. That
Okay.
could definitely affect
But
that.
nothing that's going to need phone, cable, internet, that kind
No,
of stuff?
no,
Okay.
sir. And again, the utilities are already into the site, so we're working with existing utilities within existing easements.
Mhm.
So I know that usually on a greenfield site, that non-municipal utility easement is set aside to bring utilities in. They're already in there, and there are other pathways that get them out of the site that don't run along the left side of University Drive, or the right side for that matter.
Regarding those existing easements and existing utilities, are there any dimensions that you know of for those easements? I mean, does it already meet the 10-foot non-municipal?
Yeah, so the utilities come in from the northeast side of the site. No utilities are coming in via University Drive.
Okay.
And then they feed out towards College Road, further to the north, further towards I-40, between two parcels. I think there's a Bojangles and another out parcel further down where they exit, and they're in a utility easement. They are coming through those parcels and then link up with University Drive. Link up with College Road, but that's offset a couple hundred feet from University Drive.
So just to clarify, on the image that's on the screen, where are you saying the utilities currently enter the site?
Up at the top right corner.
So no
Yeah,
utilities enter the site along University Drive
No, sir.
currently?
No, sir.
And that's where the utility easement's being requested to be
Right.
eliminated?
Yeah.
Any other questions? I can't, go ahead, sorry.
Question, what's the 60-foot right-of-way required by code, or are you just matching existing? That seems a right-of-way that would be usually coinciding with a collector street.
I believe 60 is the requirement, I think. And then just to answer that cross-section question, it would be a standard cross-section once we get to that part of the design.
Usually that section would lend itself to on-street parking on both sides. Is that the intent?
There currently isn't on-street parking there now. I guess if we were required to do that, we could.
What's he saying that?
So there'd be on-street parking along this whole edge of the road.
I guess what I'm saying is the 60-foot
Yeah.
right-of-way seems excessive. More lends itself better to a 50-foot right-of-way. But I just want to know if the city's directed you or the code required you to do the 60-foot right-of-way, because if they did not, you know, you could reduce the right-of-way and then provide for, you know, a municipal easement.
Yeah, I think I saw that in the code, I believe, but
was.
I mean, if you guys are willing to take it
Yeah, I
down.
know
to
the right-of-way
something-
width was discussed in the pre-TR, I think this project has been to one pre-TRC meeting, and the right-of-way width and the required section was discussed at that pre-TRC meeting. I do believe that the 60-foot width to match the existing University Drive was suggested, but there was some additional discussion about pavement width, on-street parking, you know, curb bump outs, you know, driveway entrances. That was one thing that I was going to mention, is that, you know, there's no city standard driveway entrances shown. That wasn't requested as a waiver, so we're going to assume that those items are going to be left up to TRC if they're not requesting that waiver. So,
Yeah, the plan is standard driveways, just to clarify
Yeah.
there.
yeah, the TRC can handle that discussion.
So something else that, Mike, you had mentioned along Crete, you had mentioned that there was going to be sidewalk. But I don't see it on the plan, and I just wanted to make sure that the plan is incorrect.
I think that was a comment during pre-TRC as well,
Okay.
to put sidewalk there, so that's the plan.
Gotcha.
Again.
I noticed it wasn't a variance request, so.
Right.
I just
Once we
wanted
get
to
through
make sure.
this and we
Okay.
develop the plans further, we'll start to show those things.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, well, can't promise I won't bring you up again, but thank you.
Thank y'all.
All
Thank
right.
you.
At this time, we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? You can approach the podium. Hey,
My name is James Williamson. This is my wife, Bernice Williamson. We live at 401 Creek Drive. We're the first house on Creek Drive. What we need to understand is there was a notice sent up about the trees, but that is not our big issue. Our issue is, what are you doing to keep our neighborhood private like it always was supposed to be for 26 years? I haven't heard anybody say anything, and I don't know what they got planned for that neighborhood. But we have had a lot of problems in the past when they built other apartments on the other side, tore down, and people cutting the fence and knocking down the fence and walking across the yard. Had to build a fence to keep them out. Couldn't get nobody to repair the fences. And I'm on the corner. So we have had the traffic come in there, and then they cut through the woods or cut through the fence and go to the apartments on the other side and all like that. And the homeless people come through there, throw something over in my yard, come around, pick it up. I mean, we just want to know, what do you have figured for us? Can I get an answer from somebody?
I mean,
We don't know whether you're gonna put a fence up there to separate it, or we prefer you build a wall, the wall of sand. Because fences, you know, they cut them. You can't get nobody to repair them. They just stay like that, and traffic keeps building up, coming through. But we don't have no idea what this is gonna be for us. Whether it's gonna be a regular traffic through there, or what you gonna do. Can somebody give me an answer?
Well, I mean, I guess my response to that would be, you know, this isn't the technical review for the project. I don't know what the applicant is proposing is along their frontage of Crete, other than the two driveway entrances that they're showing on their approved, or their proposed plans. And their primary entrance to the facility is University Drive on the UNCW side, the College Road side. But they do have proposed driveway entrances, secondary entrances off of Crete Drive. That's the information that we have in front of us.
But I thought they could not do that. I thought that was in our, I thought that was what, I thought we had that permission when we bought the property and moved in, built houses there. I didn't know how they should just come in and say, we're gonna run a road into your,
Well, I mean, Crete Drive is a public right-of-way.
Huh?
Crete Drive is a public right-of-way, so any adjacent property owner, you know, could have driveway access to it just as you do. And that's what this project is proposing, is they are proposing driveway access to Crete. I mean, again, I think that the majority of the traffic will come and go out the front. But, you know, in the city, we do encourage connectivity, and they do have connectivity proposed along the Crete Drive.
May I speak, please?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, you're going to need to be sworn in, so if you can please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Mary Bernice Williamson, and I am a resident at 401.
You'll need to put the microphone down. Just bend it down. Thank you.
Mary Bernice Williamson, I'm a resident at 401 Creek Drive. And as my husband has said, we have been there 26 years. There was always a fence there, and I think the fence was on the city property there because we used to try to get them to cut the area to keep it clean. And as my husband has said, that we've had a lot of trash, a lot of people cutting the fence, trying to come across it. So our thing was, we was hoping that they would build a wall there where they wouldn't come across there and have all that traffic and then have all that trash and stuff that we have to pick up. And so this is new to us. We hadn't heard anything about what they was trying, but although we kind of suspected something might be going on, we hadn't heard anything about what they were going to do. So our thing is that we are hoping that if they don't put a wall up there, that they'll put a fence, because we always have now traffic going one way. We live on Creek. We go out, Patrick runs into Creek. So we go from Creek to Kerr Avenue out there. And then the apartments that was over there in the past, they always, I guess they use College Road to go where they had to go. So we are hoping that they'll go back the same way and not have that traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, and the others of the committee. My name is Charles Davis Jr., and with me is my wife, Lula Davis. We are the neighbors of the couple that just stood before you. We live at 416 Crete Drive, which is the second house from the intersection of Crete and Patrick Avenue. We have lived there since July of 1999. Since that time, we have seen some development of the adjoining properties either around the corner on Crete Drive or new owners in the houses next to us. the traffic has always been minimal. There was an occasion that I and the Williamses, as well, and some of the other of our neighbors, attended a planning meeting as a result of a proposed development at that time. I'm simply standing here to tell you that, like the Williamses, this is my first opportunity to both hear and see the plans on the screen. And while it's still not clear to me as to what is going to be done in detail, the primary thing I want to pass on to you is that we definitely do not need an additional traffic load on Creek Drive. The traffic, if you allow, or the Planning Commission allow an increase in traffic through an additional egress by Creek Drive, it would create a lot of additional confusion, not only with the neighbors that live there now, but the significant impact on the neighborhood is something that should not be allowed to move forward. I would strongly suggest that the developers look at another option to get that additional entrance that they need. As I was sitting looking at the screen, I was under the assumption, till my wife corrected me, I was under the assumption that the utilities that were being talked about would be the only thing coming through Creek Drive. I don't have a problem with that, but when you allow additional significant traffic, and while we might talk about University Drive, it would also impact the current neighborhood as well. So as you review the plans, please, as you do so, be mindful of the fact that this development, if it's allowed to go forward the way that it's proposed, it would definitely impact our neighborhood. The other thing that when we move there, and I don't know, since all of this is new right now to me, we have a neighborhood covenant that extends from around the corner of Creek Drive right on up to a portion of Patrick Avenue. As to whether and how that impacts, or whether the development would impact that, I cannot address that right now. But I'm simply asking that the developers, since their representatives are here, and you would look at a different way for the access off of Creek Drive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public who wishes to speak? One more? Okay.
Hello. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Erin Nolan. My address is 422 Crete Drive. My husband and I moved there in 2017. It's a beautiful, quiet cul-de-sac. My husband and I walk our dog every night, minimal traffic. It's amazing. I understand y'all have, there's development to do, but I do have to echo my neighbors with the combining the development onto Crete Drive is really going to change the whole spirit of the neighborhood. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to make a left out of Patrick Avenue, the current road. It's almost impossible with traffic currently. I can't imagine what a couple thousand more cars a day would do. There's also Kimberly Drive that used to connect was another entrance to the Glen from South Kerr that I didn't see anything mentioned about. So I don't know if there's any plans to connect to that. That was an existing connection. So I guess I just don't see the need for two additional entrances, exits onto the street. I love that neighborhood, and I think it would just be not in the best interest of everybody, essentially. And that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I guess the staff report did indicate that the extension of University Drive would connect to Kimberly Way in the future. So,
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
May I ask if there's anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak that has not been sworn in? Okay, thank you.
My name is Lula Davis, and I stay at 416 Creek Drive. My problem is if they allow traffic to come into Creek, we only have one way in and one way out, and that's Patrick. And we are about 1 block from Randall Parkway, and the traffic is terrible. And it's hard to get in and out of Patrick to Kerr. We have a lot of college kids already there, and we have a lot of cars that's already there on Patrick Avenue, and the extra traffic that's coming through will be much dangerous. We don't have a stoplight at Patrick and Kerr, and it's only one way to get in and one way to get out. And I think it would be a dangerous to the public at that intersection to have extra traffic coming in and out from that apartment.
thank you. All right, at this time, I will close the public hearing. We have 2 waivers before us today. One, non-municipal easement. I guess that was the second waiver, and the first one being the maximum length of a private driveway as detailed in the packet. Any discussion on the length of the private driveway? I did have one question, potentially for the applicant. There were, if you have just either one of you, doesn't matter. There are 2 entrances shown on Crete. There was some comments in the public hearing portion about those 2 entrances. If one of those entrances were eliminated, would that make the project any more or less compliant with the rule?
Well, we were trying to, this is where the code and this kind of a policy thing ends up in conflict with each other. In reverence to the distance requirement and in keeping with the ultimate policy and the outcome that the ordinance is trying to achieve for interconnectivity, we provided a second entrance. I think when we came to TRC, we just had that entrance on the east.
Yep, that's right.
So we added a second entrance on the west because obviously if you're coming in and you're measuring distances, you'd have to come all the way into the parking lot from that entrance on the east, take a left, or take a right going south, and then come over. So we're just trying to shorten the distance. Are we married to that entrance on the west? No, we're not.
Do you have any plans at any of these locations to provide gates?
It's my understanding, we're happy to consider anything TRC would like us to consider. And I don't want to get outside of the bounds of the quasi-judicial hearing, but we're just trying to meet the intent of the code. The code requires interconnectivity, so that's what we're trying to meet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll be, in terms of deference to the neighbors and, if the committee directs us just do one entrance, we're happy to do that. That's how we had it designed originally. We're trying to meet the distance requirements.
But you feel you added that second entrance to better comply with the 500, 800-foot maximum
That's-
length of a private driveway?
That's right.
Okay.
I have a question, clarify, phase two, is the intent to extend University Drive from the roundabout to Kimberly Way Drive
That's
for
what we
connectivity?
set this site up to do, yeah.
So that would be phase two?
Yeah,
And then,
and that's it's under different ownership. But yes, I mean, obviously, from a proper planning and long-range view, Kimberly would be a great place to connect, so we're trying to set it up to allow for that to happen.
and that's what looks to be what was existing prior,
Yes.
yeah.
There were no public right-of-ways within the site,
But that was how the two
Kimberly at
connected.
one point was used to get in the site, and then sometime thereafter, I don't know when it was, before 2018, looks like somebody put up a fence there and maybe closed it off. I'm not sure if it was open in 2018 or not, but there's definitely a right-of-way to that boundary.
It looks like the intent of the roundabout, the way it's aligned, is to connect there in the
That's
future.
exactly right, yeah.
All right, thanks.
So we're just trying to put the stub street public right-of-way in the correct location
Mhm.
to allow that to occur.
Okay. Any discussion? I guess we started to discuss the first item, which is the maximum length of private driveway. I mean, I think the on-site circulation is very good. I mean, I don't know if Fire has any comments on, accessibility, the need for access points, circulation.
As far as circulation, the length of the driveway would not make that much of a difference, as long as we can maneuver around in there. And the developer seems to have addressed the issue as far as, making it where our trucks can get through and around. Also, the hydrant locations and all that also address a lot of that also, the issues. So we wouldn't have any problem with the distance of the driveway.
Okay. Do you have any preference on whether or not there's one driveway connection to Crete or two?
No, it wouldn't matter, as far as that goes. The only thing that we would address would be, maneuverability, whichever one that they do have is to what direction we would be able to travel.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, it didn't appear to be any one-way streets in there, right? They were both two ways.
Right. I didn't see any one-ways as well. Any other discussion on the layout or the driveway access points?
I don't think so.
I don't know if this is possible at this point, but if staff, is there a requirement in code to connect to public rights-of-way if they exist adjacent to the site? Sorry to put you on the spot, but I believe.
Sorry to interrupt. It's not required by code, but it helps site circulation and reduces the 500, 800 waiver length.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
It's not required by code, but it helps site circulation and reduces the 500, 800 waiver length.
But it was required by code. Okay. Any other discussion? If not, we need a motion of one way or the other.
I make a motion that we accept the distance of the driveway on I think that's the first waiver. Was that not?
The requested waiver for the maximum length to the private driveway.
I make a motion we accept the first waiver of the distance of the driveway. Now, do we need to put some kind of an addendum, something in there about eliminating one driveway, or is that something that is addressed through TRC or something?
Does the rest of the committee have any opinions on one driveway access point versus two?
I do not, no.
So if one of the two driveway access points was eliminated, Would that change anybody's opinion on this layout?
I'd say the driveway to the west to be eliminated. It would reduce the impact to the neighborhood, seeing that it's a dead end. So keep the one to the north.
What driveway or which area does the utilities come in now from there?
There's an easement, existing utilities going north where the green line is currently.
It is?
Mhm.
Okay.
It looked like from their emergency services circulation, their auto turn exhibit, that was the entrance that they were
Right.
they were circulating all their emergency vehicles.
Yeah.
So,
I think that would help out the neighborhood a lot. It would prevent traffic in front of an additional 4 lots and keep it all to the north at that intersection.
yeah, I agree with that. I think that, we're still in the discussion. I'm going to have to get you to restate your motion in a minute.
No problem.
But, I don't know how much additional benefit that second entrance adds. That the site still has good internal circulation regardless of whether or not that entrance is there, although I do appreciate the, attempt to comply with the code, trying to best balance the desires of the sort of neighbors. I can see that might have some benefits.
I think it'll also benefit later, as they were talking about, that they will be connecting to Kimberly Way eventually. Or possibly in the future, they would connect to that, so
That would give
that would
another
give
access
them another
points.
access point
Yep, another,
without having to cut through the same neighborhood.
yep, I would agree.
Would that, I know we've talked about it before, but emergency accesses only, like restricted access driveways? I know this probably isn't the place to talk about it, but, when Phase 2 does come through and connect, could there be a stipulation that the one on Crete become an emergency access only?
I mean, I would say we would deal with that at that time.
Okay.
I mean, I think at this point, the point of the maximum length of the private driveway, the point of the technical standard is to provide, connectivity, and emergency services are part of that, but vehicles are as well. And I do think that they are setting the table for their primary entrance to be, university. And of course, most of the cars are going to be, headed out to College Road. And then when they do make the connection to Kimberly Way, that would probably be sort of another sort of primary access point. But I can definitely see the benefit of leaving Crete as a secondary access point. I don't know that I'm prepared to say EMS only, but we would have to see how they propose to extend, in my opinion, how they propose to expand this project into the future phases.
All right.
Having said all that, do you want to restate? I appreciate the discussion, though.
I make a motion that we accept the first waiver, the length of the driveway.
I will second that, with the added condition that the DAC it's acceptable to the DAC if the westernmost driveway entrance is eliminated. Any other discussion?
None.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that waiver is granted. Second waiver is regarding the non-municipal easement. I didn't know that a non-municipal easement, I know that a non-municipal easement can't have structures in it. So if they had some sort of building, something like that, obviously that would warrant a reduction. But if the non-municipal easement extends a couple of feet into a sidewalk area or a drive aisle, obviously the non-municipal utility companies are going to want to put their utilities path of least resistance. So they're going to, but I don't know that I see an overwhelming need to reduce the non-municipal easement, especially along University. I can appreciate the tree save on the sort of left side, as we're calling it, plan left. But I just don't see enough justification for future utilities. There's obviously not going to be a need currently to disturb those, but I'm indifferent on Crete. I mean, all the houses that are there are obviously served on the other side of the road. There's minimal need. I don't really have a problem with that one personally.
I agree with Crete, and water and sewer already served on Crete and public right-of-way, so.
They
I
aren't
do,
served, or are they?
They are currently served with
Oh, okay.
existing sewer and water.
Okay.
And I do have a question with you about the 7.5. Why is that reduced in that area at the driveway there?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we could bring the applicant up. Like I said, if it looks to me like anywhere that they are proposing an encroachment for their parking lot or sidewalk. But I mean, we have driveways that encroach into non-municipal easements at every house. And so I don't know that alone is necessarily warrants a need to.
I agree. I'd like
reduce.
to have the applicant.
Yeah, sure. If the applicant could come up and provide that discussion.
So which one were you talking about specifically? Just the one at the entrance on University there?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, I think that
What about
that looks to me like anywhere where your site plan or
Right.
any elements of your site plan are encroaching into that non-municipal easement, that you're asking for a reduction. And I certainly understand the portion that's not adjacent to your property. Like, that's, in my opinion, that's a bona fide site constraint. I understand that. But where you're reducing down, that little stretch where you're reducing down to 7.5, I mean, I don't see any reason why that couldn't just extend as a 10.
Right, yeah, I think that was done just so that the utilities didn't go underneath the parking lot or anything, but if it's gotta be 10 there, I think we're okay with that. That's kind of the main reason why it bumps in like that.
Yeah, I can see why you're asking for it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have any objection to Crete. I mean, I think that, we don't want to Mike Brown's point, we don't want to encourage utility companies
Right.
to place these utilities where they might be in conflict with trees. And there's not a lot of need for any future utility extension along Crete, but if University Drive is going to be a collector street, there could be future utilities through there, and I just don't know that we want to eliminate that need or that potential for the future.
On Crete there real quick, would it make more sense just throwing this out there to eliminate it completely, to keep that buffer of the trees so that the neighbors have a little bit more protection from looking into the development?
I mean, I don't think that, there's no reason why you can't leave the buffer, and I think if the waiver has been requested, I don't know that we can change
Okay.
the scope of that, at this point too much. That said, I think we're all in agreement that we want to preserve that area as much as we can, and if there's no utilities being proposed with your project, there's not going to be a lot of utilities to disturb that corridor, in the near future. And I don't know, with the layout of Patrick, Capri, and Crete, I don't know that there's going to be a lot of utilities in the future along that corridor, but University might be a different story.
For the same reasons of eliminating that 7.5, would those same reasons apply to the driveway on Crete? Like, why is it going down to 4.5?
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that.
The same reason,
For
if
the
you
same
want to make
reason,
it
yeah.
consistent.
So, and I apologize, I've got tons of exhibits here, but along Crete, the bulk of the requested width is 8.5, 7.5?
8.5, yeah.
8.5.
8.5, and then you narrow it down to 4.5 at the driveway entrance.
Same thing for the utilities, keeping them away from the parking, sidewalks, all that kind of stuff in case there was maintenance in the future.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the non-municipal easement crosses every driveway in the city, and usually they'll be boring underneath driveways and such like that. So I don't know that I see the need for those sort of reductions, but I can support the overall 8.5 on Crete. I don't know that I can support the reduction along University, with the exception of the portion adjacent to that you don't own. I mean, it doesn't make sense to create a discontinuous right-of-way there just to be able to dedicate a 10-foot non-municipal easement. That's my opinion.
And so going through the driveways would go back to 10 on the right side. Are you also addressing the left side, or you're fine with that?
There not being a non-municipal
Yeah.
easement? I mean, again, I didn't read this as that being part of the request. Initially, I didn't read that there was a request for a reduction, in that area.
Let me ask a different way, because it might not be a big, I just don't want to be, and I don't think the city wants us if there's a 10-foot non-municipal easement, we don't want to be taking it, that would not require us to take a tree out of it if there was a tree in there.
Absolutely
Or
not.
clear it, or pay a mitigation fee.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. You're just putting a line on a map, and if there's utilities either with this project or in the future, obviously they would have to deal with any obstructions within that right-of-way. So if there's a tree there, our right-of-way permit program, I know one of the objectives there is to minimize impacts to, trees and vegetation there. So the same would apply in the future if there's a significant tree.
All right. I mean, do you see any?
No.
I'm just trying to avoid an unintended consequence.
Yep. Certainly.
Yeah.
Good discussion.
One more question. The area highlighted in red to the south, where it's 0, do they own that property?
So it borders right up against the property there. That right area is there is for the sidewalk and the road. It just gets so close to it with the existing road alignment that there's just no way that we could provide that easement. But I guess,
You don't own that
They don't
parcel.
own that
We do
parcel.
not own
Yeah,
the area in red.
Well, that makes, you can't provide an
I
easement you
can't,
don't
yeah.
own.
I don't
Yeah,
have the
no, that's
ability to-
fine, that was the question. Thank you.
Yeah. I
Now,
mean,
when that property is obviously developed by whoever,
Yeah,
that would be the
and I
time
know
you get
that
the easement.
if memory serves from the pre-TRC meeting, there is some discussion with one of those property owners. I think it's come through as a convenience store. So I would imagine we
Yeah.
can work with them to get that if and when they do move forward.
That might be coming sooner rather than later. Anticipate it probably is.
Is what it is.
So the 0 is not something that, it looks like it was in the waiver, but it's not something that we need to,
The 0 on the plan
Consider.
left side.
Yeah.
But the 0 on the right side, adjacent to what is, I guess, now a Little Caesars, is in the waiver, and I do think we need to take action on that.
It would have to be on both sides, because
All right?
obviously, if we're putting a 10-foot non-municipal utility easement on the left side of the university, we're going to run into the same issue.
Yeah, but you're not dedicating, wait, say that again?
I just want to make sure if the,
Well,
okay.
it's already
Okay,
dedicated
okay,
to
yeah,
your.
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
Yeah,
Never mind,
yep.
never mind,
Okay.
never mind. Okay, all right. I was just trying to.
Sure, no, I understand, we're kind of doing this on the fly. Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? I am going to make a motion to conditionally approve the waiver for the reduction to 8.5 feet on Crete, and the waiver reduction for 0 on the north side as requested on, oh Lord, what exhibit is that? I think in there it's labeled as Exhibit 8 or Exhibit E. 8? 8? Yeah, 8. As Exhibit 8, the area shown in red on the north side of the road. I would approve that and the 8.5 foot non-municipal easement along Crete. I would not support the reduction beyond 8.5 feet on Crete, and I would not support the reduction to 7.5 feet along University. I don't know how to phrase it any differently than that. Apologize to whoever's preparing the minutes, but
Maybe to clarify, we're approving an 8.5-foot non-municipal easement along Crete,
correct?
and we're approving a 10-foot non-municipal agreement or easement along University Drive, with the exception of the portion shown in red that has a 0, that's not part of their property, the portion shown in red.
What Dennis said, yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that item? All in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That variance is conditionally approved, partially approved. That's the only item we have on the agenda. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want
Excuse
to
me.
mention something at the end, just to let folks know that staff would be willing to stick around after the meeting to answer any questions about next steps and process, or any code questions you might have moving forward. Just if you want to stick around after the meeting, we'd be happy to answer those questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you. Can staff clarify which exhibit we are approving as the preliminary plan?
Mr. Chair, I don't believe it's titled as an exhibit, but it's the site plan attached in the packet, followed, which is immediately after the application.
Okay. There is something that I'm looking at as Exhibit 6. So that's what we would, does anybody have any discussion about that preliminary plan? If so, is there a motion for approval? It would obviously be conditional upon adjustments for the variances requested.
Just for my clarification, we're doing the preliminary plan approval because there is right-of-way being dedicated to the public?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And it's only being dedicated as shown here, but they will be extended in the future.
Yes, sir.
So we're only approving as shown. So if
You're
they-
you're approving a portion thereof with the anticipation that future phases will also require preliminary plan approval for the next phases of that road.
Understood. Thank you. I will make a motion that we approve the preliminary plan as shown with adjustments made per the variances requested.
I'll second that with an added condition that and I think it was mentioned in the variances, but that the TRC look at the driveway connections along Crete, the public right-of-way of Crete, and that we were accepting elimination of one of those driveways.
Agreed. Yep. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of the preliminary plan, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Preliminary plan is approved. Apologies. Now, we are adjourned. Thank you.